What's up, guys? Peter from Panda here. Hey, I bought myself this SoundPal Soundbar SP603. It comes in this box right here, and it's pretty big. And you can see right there, it's pretty cool. I'll give you some specs on it, but I actually installed it on my TV. I've got a fairly large TV, but not huge. I mean, 65 inches, and I put the soundbar right in front of it. I thought I'd just kind of share with you some of the details and my experience with it, because I've been playing around with it a few days, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's cheap, first of all. It's one of the cheapest soundbars, at least made for TV, as far as I can tell. About $70 new, and had pretty good reviews on Amazon, so I picked it up. I noticed that there are a lot of soundbars out there in the $30, $40 range, but they're made for computer monitors, so don't be fooled and get something mistakenly for a TV. Now, the bar is only actually like 2.5 inches tall and deep. You can see it's a standard rectangular square. There seems to be an opening right here for maybe a little bit of a acoustical chamber or something like that. The front is fabric. Everything else is shiny plastic. On the back here, there are two mounts so that if you put screws in the wall, you could mount this to a wall above your TV or something like that. And then on the bottom, roll it over here one more time, there are a couple of rubber strips here for feet, so that as you're sitting in front of your TV like I am, it's just hovering over the base by a couple millimeters. You can see a little daylight underneath the bar. And I don't know how many speakers, but you can feel kind of the little holes right here, and I can kind of push them in. I don't want to deform it too much. And then on the front here, you have some lights, line 1, line 2, and Bluetooth, and your infrared receiver. Now on the side is where we start getting to the nitty-gritty of it. You can attach this thing, and there's another hole here for your base or whatever it is. What you can do here is connect this via a couple different ways. So you can either use a 3.5 millimeter cable, which it comes with, this black one. Looks like it's about 3 or 4 feet. And that's what I'm using to connect it to my TV, to a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack output. There's line 1 and line 2, so you could plug in a couple of different sources. There's the power button right here, and then the mode will scroll you through these. So if I hit the mode button here, line 1, line 2, Bluetooth, and I haven't paired anything, so it kind of goes into this pairing mode. If I hit it again, it goes back to line 1, as you can see. So you use these two. I've always just left it on since I've installed it. And then you have volume up, volume down, and play pause there. Particularly if you're going to pair it to something, you might use that button a lot. Now there is a remote control for it too. The remote is right here. It's pretty small, it's cheap. It comes with a battery, which is nice, a little piece of plastic that you have to pull out. It's not very big, and I wish it were maybe a little bit, or felt a little higher quality, but it works. It's kind of one of these cheap standard remotes. Power button, mode, and a mute button there. Play, pause, forward and back, as well as the volume up and down. I wish these were maybe marked a little bit better, volume up and down, but they are what they are. And it works fine. And in fact, because all you're doing is really adjusting this volume up and down for the most part, it's kind of nice not to have a big remote. Now, a couple things that I think might be creative on soundbars like this is that, especially if you're using the 3.5 millimeter jack as opposed to like an HDMI ARC output, you can't control the volume on there without either getting a universal receiver or using this remote. So it's essentially independent of the TV. Not a big deal. I wish I had that HDMI ARC output so I could use it there. I don't think the digital optical audio does anything differently, but it's maybe slightly annoying that it's not a little better integrated. The other thing that I thought would be cool is if you could even make this smaller so that you could clip it on to your actual TV or cable remote, so you'd have this kind of more integrated and attached to the remote. That might be kind of a nice feature. I'm sure you could do it with like Velcro or something, but I'm not going to. And then on the bottom here you have your power cord, which it obviously comes with. There's also one of these kind of more standard RCA cords that's included, but I didn't need that. The key here on this thing though is that I actually like the sound. It got pretty good reviews. It's going to be really hard to demonstrate sound here on the system, but I'll kind of tell you what I think makes this really valuable. So the key to using this is that I have speakers in my TV, and they're essentially mounted in the back because there isn't much of a border on the TV. So the speakers really kind of project back or out to the sides. And so I get kind of a muffled but reasonably rich sound. What this has done is really taken the TV viewing experience to a new level by bringing more directed treble out front. So you get much more clarity, especially on spoken word. I was watching a baseball game, and kind of the fan noise is much clearer. It just seems to be a lot more definition to the noise. What I also did is, instead of muting my television, I've actually left the volume on there and just kind of reduced it, so I get a little bit of that radiant background noise kind of being reflected off the walls and back to me. And I've left this one on as kind of the primary speaker. So if I were to tell you the total noise output from when I'm watching TV, if it's 100%, I'd kind of say that the soundbar is generating 65 of it and the TV is generating 35. And I've kind of found that split gives me, I feel, the best audio experience on watching TV. The soundbar itself, while it can get pretty loud, doesn't really have any bass. Now, you might be able to plug in a bass or something like that to it too, but in terms of wanting to keep it simple, keep it cheap, keep everything nice and plug-in, keep it a clean look, and without making a lot of effort, that's kind of what worked. Now, I'll try to give you a demonstration here and see if I can demo it for you. All right, now, audio tests on video are not exactly great, but I'll kind of explain what we're seeing, and you might get the gist. But right now, I have both the TV volume on as well as the soundbar on, and I think the overall mesh between the two is perfect. And in fact, if I were really wanted to adjust the volume, I would use the soundbar almost exclusively for it. I can certainly make it louder, and it seems like adding volume from the soundbar is the way to do it, or taking it back and just using the bass, the same amount of output from the TV as kind of a baseline is the right thing to do. Now, I'm going to mute the TV here. And again, it might be a little hard to tell, but I really kind of dropped off a lot of the bass, a lot of the fuller surround component of the sound here. And I have really good clarity, but it's just not a rich, full sound. If I go ahead and turn the TV back on, I really like this. And if I go ahead and mute the soundbar with this button right here, now I have what I think is, and what I've listened to before, is really just kind of this flat, kind of washed together sound, and without a lot of clarity. You can hear it does have kind of richness and bass, but it's just really broad and non-specific. It's hard to describe, but let me turn it back on here. And the mute button right there. And again, just richer, lots of clarity, a good viewing experience. I've watched a couple movies with both of them on. It's just far and away better than it was without the soundbar before. So for $70, you can really improve the audio experience from a TV that is just using its built-in speakers. Peter von Panda for the SoundPal SP603, out.